Why is nobody talking about this? That's the first thing I want to ask before I get into anything else, because we are now already 2 weeks deep into My Hero Academia Vigilantes, and I have seen kind of no conversation around this. Maybe it's my algorithm, maybe it's the circle I'm in or whatever, but I legit have not seen a lot of people talk about this, which is incredibly strange, because I'm not gonna lie, there is some issues I have with this adaptation, which you probably see by the title, but legit, like, these first 2 episodes have been very good. Like, I gotta be honest here, it's probably the best that My Hero Academia is looked in a very long time. I'm not talking about, let's say, the movies, I'm just talking about the TV series, and there obviously has been moments within the latest seasons of My Hero that's been a lot better, but typically, you know, there is a common consensus when it comes to My Hero Academia's anime that it is not as good as it potentially could be, especially with just how popular it is. Like, let's just be completely blunt here, okay? My Hero Academia is a very popular manga, a very popular anime, and regardless if you hate the series and you want it to disappear, that nothing's gonna happen. It's gonna stay here. It's here to stay. And it has such a massive cultural impact. It is honestly shameful that, you know, My Hero Academia hasn't had, like, the best of the best art and animation for multiple seasons. And a lot of people agreed, and myself even talked about this in a negative light as well, that the anime was degrading in quality. For instance, like the My Villain Academia stuff and all that, there was a lot of complaints, and a lot of people just dropped off the anime just to dive into the manga, so to speak. So anyways, we fast forward to today. This is My Hero Academia Vigilantes. This is a spin-off series. This is a series that takes place prior to the actual main story of My Hero Academia. That means that we're not following Deku, we're not following All Might, we're not following Bakugou, you get the point. We're not following the main cast, we're following different characters that are within the world of My Hero Academia, and there is some interweave connections between both stories, but overall we do follow a new cast of characters, which is a nice breath of fresh air to the My Hero Academia verse, because we're not stuck to, let's say, someone like Deku or Bakugou or Todoroki, or even Endeavor, we just have new characters. But I'm getting ahead of myself. What I'm trying to say is I'm a little bit shocked that a lot of people haven't been talking about this, because it actually did one thing that is a massive complaint within My Hero Academia. The sky. Now, you probably think I'm joking, and for those that are out of the know might think it's ridiculous, but it is legitimately a major talking and discussion point within the My Hero Academia community when it comes to the way the sky is depicted within the anime. So to give some clarification for those that don't know, basically, throughout My Hero Academia, like Season 1, 2, 3, 4, you get the point, there has been constant showcasing of the sky just being bright baby blue. And there's many times where it's like, it doesn't make sense that the sky isn't like dark or dim, the sun isn't setting or rising, or, you know, maybe there's clouds kind of blocking the sky. It's just usually a bright blue sky, and there really isn't any, like, flair, so to speak, to the background art. And it's been a common complaint that the community has had for a very long time. Some of it is warranted, some of it's not, it's a little bit over-exaggeration, but the point still stands, that My Hero Academia Vigilantes already is addressing one of the biggest issues that the community likes to talk about, and that is the sky. I mean, we legit have a night setting here that doesn't look like stereotypical. I mean, you see stars, you see clouds, and I know this is very low-level stuff, but it doesn't change the fact that this alone, since it's such a huge talking point within the community, I'm surprised just not many people are actually talking about that. But, okay, let's get into some serious stuff. So, My Hero Academia Vigilantes. Is it good? Is it bad? Well, I will say this, that I love the color palette and the vibrant nature of this anime. I don't know if it's just me, but I feel like the way this anime is done, it is more colorful than the OG My Hero Academia anime. Like, I just, that's my assumption. I love the effects and stuff, the way the line work is done. I don't know, it just, this honestly, it has that reminiscent art style of a comic book, which I think fits very well, because obviously My Hero Academia was inspired by comic books, Western comics and stuff, so the fact that the art style, like the animation and art, actually reminds me of a comic book setting, I think is legitimately incredible. And I gotta say, it is one of the strongest factors of the show. Now, it is properly following the story and everything from what I remember. Maybe there might be a few things cut here and there, but overall, legit, the anime has been spot on. It's been very good, and I've had legitimately no issues on that end in terms of adaptation of, like, the story to the character voice acting and everything. And there was a brief issue with subtitles, by the way, which was on Crunchyroll's end, but they corrected it. To kind of clarify what that was, it's at the end of the episode here. Basically, you have it to where the names were being called, like, for instance, he's called the Crawler, but they were calling him, like, the Crueler. That was what it was in the manga, but in the brief subtitles, it was, like, only up for, like, 30 minutes to an hour, you had it to where he was being called the Squaller, which is not correct by any means. Even if you listen to the Japanese, it didn't sound like Squaller at all. So it was a mistake with the translation, but the translation has been fixed already. I wish they would do the same thing for ReZero, but, you know, beggars can't be choosers. Anyways, what I'm trying to say is that the only issue that I could really give this is a character design. And I think I'll probably title the video something related to that. So let's finally segue in to the censorship of My Hero Academia Vigilantes. So I've been singing the praises of this anime basically since this video began, hinting at a little bit of negativity, but overall, I've legitimately have enjoyed my experience watching this. I will continue watching it, it's very good. However, I would be a fool, or I would be a liar to say it's perfect, and I would also be a liar to say there is things that I'm not unhappy with, which I am very unhappy with, and so let's get into that. It is the censorship of Pop Step. Now, I'm going to have to censor it, ironically enough, the right image, because YouTube. It's not me wanting to censor it. If you want to see this for yourself, just go to my post on Twitter. But basically, in the manga, Pop Step's very design is very flashy, and it showcases a lot. I mean, the censorship kind of proves that. It doesn't, like, show a lot of stuff, but you get the point. Anyways, in the anime, it's very clear that her design has been dumbed down a lot. It is very apparent. They have tried any way they possibly can with lighting and shadows and stuff to overall hide some things that would be too revealing. And also, they even changed some of her outfit, for instance, giving her basically like thigh highs, you can see right here, in comparison to her, manga equivalent. There is a lot of changes, and the thing about this is her design was clearly for getting attention. It was. There was some attention to it. There's a lot more nuance, a lot more depth to that. Besides that, I'm summarizing it very simplistically, but basically, her ability, her quirk, so to speak, with being able to leap and all that, it makes sense for her outfit to be like that, with her being kind of like a pop star, like singer and stuff. You get the point. So, her design kind of fundamentally fits in with what she's trying to do, you know, on the street and getting people's attention and stuff, so it kind of all plays in together. So what I'm trying to say is that the design of Pop Step has 100% been censored. Now, I will say, I do like the thigh highs and stuff, the new change to her design, but I think that fundamentally, it's very clear why it was done. It was for censorship purposes, and I don't like censorship. I'm just gonna be honest. I feel like it's kind of disrespectful to change the art of the original character. It was one of the issues I had with, like, Capella's change within the anime for ReZero, but I talked about it already extensively, so I'm not gonna get back into that. But if I had to take an educated guess why this happened, like, you know, why these changes happened, there's one. I know for a fact that Crunchyroll or Funimation was co-producing this series. Like, James, actually, my good friend here, when he leaked this back in 2022, it was a Funimation production. I wonder if Crunchyroll took over, and if so, do they have a say? So what he's trying to imply here is that basically Funimation, before they were absorbed into Crunchyroll and all that, Funimation was co-producing My Hero Academia Vigilantes. But now that obviously a lot of the roles and, I guess, privileges that Funimation had has now been transferred to Crunchyroll, we can only assume that Crunchyroll is the one that's kind of spearheaded some of the changes that's also happened within My Hero Academia Vigilantes. Now, there's no confirmation on this, but we know Funimation was doing stuff. So, if we could assume that Funimation's been absorbed into Crunchyroll, and there's a lot of employees from Funimation into Crunchyroll, it kind of all makes sense. It all kind of lines up together. So, we get into the main factor that we have all talked about, or at least I've talked about a lot, and that is the fact that Crunchyroll or Sony censorship is definitely a thing. And in this case, we might be seeing a glimpse at that. Now, this could be remnants of censorship from Funimation, but it's very clear that censorship has happened regardless. There is no denying the changes within the character design. Now, is this a make it or break it for the story? That's up to the viewer, honestly. It really is. I personally don't like censorship, especially when obviously the character design fundamentally was like this, and just seeing it changed because it needed to fit standards and all that for a modern audience. I'm not a big fan of that. On top of that as well, from my understanding, My Hero Academia Vigilantes is a late-night airing anime. in Japan, which means theoretically it doesn't need to censor as much, but for some reason it still is. And it's like, why? Why do that if you don't need to censor as much if it airs late at night? So yeah, another thing I do want to point out as well, just showcasing the involvement of Crunchyroll with the series, they already have an English dub. Like, I'll show it here, but they actually already have an English dub. Like,
you could say that.
See, so we know for a fact that they are, like, really in and invested into this production. They're wanting to have the dub release on the same day as the sub, because this is the day this episode released. The English dub is out alongside of the Japanese dub. So there is clearly a lot of, like, hope or anticipation as does well. So, once again, my assumption here is that Crunchyroll probably had a good say, and they probably kept the censorship that maybe Funimation put in place. So yeah, I wanted to talk about this. I mean, My Hero Academia Vigilantes is very good. I've liked the anime, don't get me wrong, but like I said, I would be a liar to say that it's completely perfect and it isn't censoring things. It is. It's 100% censoring stuff, but I think if you somehow can look past it, or if you like the new design change of Pop Step, you're probably going to really love the show. I'm just going to be honest. I like Vigilantes. It's really good. Like, it's a good manga, so I'm excited to see some of the stuff adapted into the anime, and I'm going to obviously continue watching it. But I love you guys. You all be safe, stay healthy. Chibi out.